The villain will always be the villain if the hero tells the story. Every scar has two sides of pain. One gets sympathy, one gets blame. The world believes the loudest voice, not the soul left without a choice. Truth often hides behind the glory, because history is written by the one who tells the story. That sounds like the slow, dramatic opening monologue of some grand, tragic fantasy movie, doesn't it? But if we are being completely honest with ourselves, this is exactly what is playing on an endless, agonizing loop inside your head right now. Just because you finally worked up the nerve to text the word no to someone. You know that exact moment I am talking about, don't you? That agonizing stretch of time where your thumb is just hovering, suspended in midair right over the send button. Inside your brain, it feels like a miniature World War III is taking place. You just finished typing out a message. I am so exhausted this weekend. I really don't think I can make it over to help. I am so sorry. And then, in a sheer panic, you delete the whole thing. And then you retype it. And then you frantically sprinkle in 3 or 4 smiling emojis, a crying face, maybe those little praying hands, just desperately hoping that your words will look a little less cold, a little less ruthless. And then you squeeze your eyes shut tight. You hold your breath, and you press send. Instantly, your heart starts pounding against your ribs. Your stomach suddenly ties itself into these tight, heavy knots, and you can actually feel the cold sweat gathering on the palms of your hands. You toss your phone onto the far corner of the bed like it has just magically transformed into a ticking time bomb. You wrap your arms around yourself and you start pleading with your own conscience, telling yourself that you are just so deeply burnt out, that you have been working yourself to the absolute bone all week long, running on empty, and you just wanted to claim exactly one quiet, uninterrupted Saturday night to just breathe. You tell yourself that you deserve to rest. But then, the screen of your phone lights up the dark room. A reply comes through, short, clipped, and absolutely freezing. Oh, guess you have just been way too busy lately. Never mind then, just that one word. Oh, and that is it. It is entirely over. That precious, peaceful Saturday evening that you fought so incredibly hard to claw back for yourself is instantly shattered. You sink down into the cushions of your sofa, staring blankly into the dark, empty space of your living room, and you suddenly feel like you are the absolute worst human being on the planet. That thick, suffocating wave of guilt, it is so heavy. It seeps into every single corner of your mind, entirely ruining the taste of your dinner, and guaranteeing that you are going to be tossing and turning at 3 a.m. tonight. You start the endless cycle of second-guessing yourself. Maybe I should just push through it? Maybe I can just throw my coat on and drive over there for an hour just to keep the peace? Am I being incredibly selfish right now? What are they going to think of me? They are definitely going to complain to the rest of the family, or text the group chat saying that I am cold and calculating, that I can't even be bothered to help with one tiny little favor. And that is the exact, bitter moment you realize it. Just because you dared to protect one incredibly fragile boundary, just because you chose your own safety and your own mental health for once, the other person has automatically written you as the ultimate villain in their story. Let's be entirely honest for a second. Realizing you have just been labeled the bad guy, when in reality, you are the one struggling so hard just to keep from falling apart, is such a deeply frustrating feeling. It feels incredibly unfair, and it is so isolating. We just hold onto all of that quiet resentment, swallowing it down, terrified to talk about it with anyone, because we are so scared that if we speak up, people will just accuse us of trying to play the victim. So I just want to pause for a second right here and ask you something. Have you ever been forced to play the villain in somebody else's story just to protect the tiny shred of peace you have left? Please, tell me about it down in the comments. You do not have to write a whole novel. Even just a few words is enough. Because honestly, I know exactly how painfully lonely that feeling can be. And I just really need you to know that. Right here. You are not alone. So, why does it hurt so deeply? Why does setting one completely reasonable boundary feel like you are committing some sort of unforgivable crime. It is because, for our entire lives, you and I have been quietly handed an invisible script, a very specific, heavily edited set of instructions on how to be a quote-unquote good person. We are taught, from an incredibly young age, that being good is entirely synonymous with being accommodating. We absorb this silent lesson that your fundamental worth as a human being is directly tied to how useful you are to the people around you. And, perhaps even more dangerously, how little space you take up in their lives. Just think about it for a second. Have you ever been standing in the aisle of a grocery store, just minding your own business, staring blankly at a shelf of pasta, and somebody completely distracted rams the front of their shopping cart directly into your ankle? What is the very first thing that flies out of your mouth? Before your brain can even process the sharp sting of physical pain, you are automatically blurting out, "Oh my gosh, I am so sorry." You are literally apologizing to a stranger for the fact that they ran their metal cart into your body. You limp away down the next aisle, and your inner voice is just screaming, "Why on earth did I just apologize for existing in their way? Why did I just say sorry to the wheels of their cart?" Or think about those loud, crowded, deeply overwhelming family dinners. Someone sitting across the table makes a completely uncalled for, passive-aggressive comment about your life choices, your career, or maybe your weight. You can feel the immediate heat rushing up into your cheeks. You can physically feel that hard, uncomfortable lump forming right in the back of your throat. But what do? You force a polite, hollow little laugh. You take a long, slow sip of your water just to physically wash down the absolute disrespect. You swallow your own anger, letting it burn a caustic hole right through the lining of your stomach, entirely just to keep the peace. Because heaven forbid you make things awkward for everyone else. Heaven forbid you ruin the appetizer course by daring to demand basic respect. And here's the hardest part about doing that. That swallowed anger does not just magically vanish into thin air, does it? It follows you all the way home. It sits heavily in the passenger seat of your car while you drive in silence. It makes you snap at your partner or your pet over something incredibly silly later that night. Or worse, it keeps you staring wide-eyed at the dark ceiling at 2 a.m. You just lie there, replaying the conversation on an agonizing loop, aggressively hating yourself for not being brave enough in the moment to just say, "Hey, that was actually a really unkind thing to say to me." If you are nodding your head right now, if you are feeling that familiar, uncomfortable, heavy twist down in your gut, I need you to hear this loud and clear, and I need you to actually believe it. You are not weak. You are not a pushover. You are simply running an outdated software program that society installed in you, long before you even knew how to choose for yourself. We grew up genuinely believing that in order to earn love, we had to play the ultimate self-sacrificing hero in everyone else's story. We learned to equate being lovable with being low maintenance. We proudly wore the badge of being the chill friend, the one who never complains, the one who always says, "Whatever you guys want to do is fine by me." We convinced ourselves that if we ever became an inconvenience, if we ever stopped fixing everyone's emotional messes, if we ever had the audacity to say, "Actually, I cannot carry this heavy thing for you today," that people would just pack up their love and leave us completely behind. We somehow let the world convince us that our entire human value was based solely on how easy we are to consume. Let's bring it back to that poem we started with for a second. Specifically, that one line, "Every scar has two sides of pain. One gets sympathy, one gets blame." In psychology, there is this fascinating, almost heartbreaking dynamic that happens when you finally decide you simply cannot carry the weight of the entire world anymore. For years, you have played the role of the ultimate rescuer. You were the emergency contact, the late-night unpaid therapist, the one who always dropped absolutely everything to put out other people's fires. But the very second you try to step down from that exhausting pedestal, the moment you try to take off that heavy cape because your own shoulders are practically breaking, the people who have grown entirely accustomed to your endless supply of energy do not see a tired human being. They see a sudden, unacceptable threat to their comfort, and almost instantly, they flip the script. They cast themselves as the helpless victim, and suddenly, you are handed the role of the cruel, unfeeling persecutor. And the wildest part is, they aren't even intentionally lying to you. In their version of reality, they genuinely feel wronged. You can picture exactly how this plays out, can't you? You finally gather up the courage to admit that you are drowning. You send a text saying, "I am really struggling with my own mental health today. I just cannot be the one to fix this right now." You sit there on the edge of your bed, your chest rising and falling with these shallow, shaky breaths, desperately hoping for just a tiny ounce of the grace you have freely given them 100 times before. But instead, your phone buzzes, and you read the words that feel like an absolute, stinging slap to the face. Wow, what is your problem? Why are you making such a massive deal out of this? I only asked for one tiny favor. The physical reaction to those words is always instantaneous. You can literally feel all the blood drain directly out of your face. A cold, hollow ache settles right in the dead center of your chest. And then your inner monologue just starts spiraling completely out of control. Are they right? Am I making a huge deal out of absolutely nothing? Should I have just sucked it up and helped them? Am I actually just an incredibly selfish friend? That one single text message completely derails your entire afternoon. You cannot focus on your work emails. You just stare blindly at your computer screen while this incredibly bitter, devastating realization slowly washes over you. The realization that some people only actually like you when you are perfectly obedient and convenient for them. They do not love you for who you are. They love you for the absolute, frictionless ease you provide in their lives. The second you have needs of your own, the second you become a three-dimensional human being who requires a moment of rest, your perceived value to them suddenly drops to zero. But I want you to remember the other part of that poem, not the soul left without a choice. I need you to listen to me very carefully right now. You did not say no because you are suddenly this selfish, uncaring monster. You said no because you are completely, utterly depleted. You are scraping the absolute bottom of the barrel. When someone reacts to your boundary with explosive anger, heavy guilt trips, or that awful passive-aggressive silence, your deeply ingrained anxiety is going to scream that you made a terrible mistake. But that anger, that intense pushback you are receiving, it is not evidence that you did something wrong. It is actually the absolute, undeniable proof that the boundary you just set was desperately, urgently needed. If your no breaks a relationship, then that relationship was entirely built on your silent suffering. Are you starting to see the pattern here? What happens next is arguably the hardest but most liberating step of all. But to get there, I want to ask you this. What would it actually look like to just stop apologizing for taking care of yourself? So, how do we actually put down this incredibly heavy baggage we have been lugging around for decades? How do we finally give ourselves permission to step into what the internet jokingly calls our quote-unquote villain era? First of all, I need to be completely honest with you. Doing this for the very first time is going to feel absolutely awful. When you finally hold firm on that boundary, your physical body is going to react like you are in grave, immediate danger. You are just sitting safely on your own living room sofa, but your heart is suddenly hammering against your ribs like you just finished sprinting a marathon. Your palms get so terribly sweaty that you keep having to wipe them on the fabric of your jeans. Your brain is absolutely screaming at you like a blaring, deafening fire alarm. Every single deeply ingrained instinct inside of you is begging you to pick up the phone, rapidly type out, "Actually, just kidding. I can totally make it work. Let me just move some things around. I will be there in 10 minutes. Anything, literally anything, just to make that agonizing, deeply uncomfortable tension finally go away. You will sit there, staring blankly at the ceiling, entirely convinced that this is it. This is the exact moment everyone turns on you. Your inner monologue is just a panicked, chaotic loop of, "They are definitely calling their sister right now to talk about how incredibly selfish I am. I have ruined the relationship. I am a terrible, ungrateful person who cannot even do one simple thing for a friend. You will spend the entire afternoon completely on edge, jumping out of your skin every single time the refrigerator hums or a car drives past your window, just waiting for the universe to punish you for having the audacity to say no. But then, a few hours go by, and something incredibly strange and beautiful happens. You look out the window, and you notice that the sun is still setting, casting that familiar, quiet, golden light across the street. You watch a neighbor walk their dog down the sidewalk. You hear the distant, steady hum of traffic. You realize, with a sudden shock to your system, that the earth did not actually stop spinning on its axis just because someone is currently mad at you. Later that evening, you find yourself sitting alone at your kitchen table. The house is completely, blissfully quiet. You are just eating a simple, warm bowl of food, totally by yourself. And yes, if you sit very still and pay close attention, you can still feel that tiny phantom itch of guilt lingering right in the back of your mind. It is still there, whispering that you should probably be doing something productive for someone else right now. But resting directly underneath that guilt, wrapping around it like a heavy, warm, comforting blanket, is an ocean of absolute, boundless relief. You notice that your shoulders have finally dropped away from your ears for the first time all day. You notice that you are taking deep, full breaths all the way down into your stomach. The silence around you is not asking anything of you. It is not demanding your energy, your apologies, or your immediate solutions. If you are in that space right now, shivering through the absolute discomfort of choosing yourself, I need you to be so incredibly gentle with yourself. Your brain is going to try its absolute hardest to trick you into believing that you are a fundamentally bad person for letting someone down. But we have to gently, kindly remind ourselves of the hard truth. We cannot control the narratives people spin about us behind closed doors. We cannot control how they edit their history to make themselves the righteous hero, accepting the fact that someone, somewhere, is going to completely misunderstand you, and that they are going to tell a version of the story where you are the villain, is sometimes the mandatory, non-negotiable price of admission you simply have to pay to live a healthy, authentic, and truly peaceful adult life. So, where do we go from here? How do we actually walk forward into this gentle, quiet new chapter of our lives? I think the very first thing we have to do is completely let go of the desperate, exhausting urge to constantly explain our scars. When someone misunderstands our boundaries, our immediate, panicked reflex is to pull out all the receipts. You know exactly what I am talking about. You sit there on the very edge of your bed, staring blankly at their cold text message, and you instantly start mentally drafting a massive 5-paragraph essay to send back to them. Your inner monologue is just pleading with the universe. If I can just explain to them exactly how many hours I worked this week, if I can just list out every single heavy thing I am currently dealing with, if I can just prove to them how deeply physically exhausted I am, then they will finally understand. Then they won't be mad at me anymore. You want to rip your own heart open and show them the exact, undeniable depth of your exhaustion, just to justify why you had to say the word no. But let's be incredibly honest with each other for a second. You do not have to justify your need for rest to someone who has already made the conscious decision to misunderstand you. You do not owe anyone a detailed PowerPoint presentation on your trauma or your burnout just to earn the basic human right to stay home in your pajamas on a Friday night. People who are genuinely committed to crossing your boundaries will never, ever be satisfied with your reasons for setting them. And realizing that, really internalizing that the loudest, angriest voice in the room does not automatically hold the truth, is going to change the entire way you move through your life. It completely shifts the ripple effect of your daily anxiety. Instead of standing under the hot water in the shower for 20 solid minutes, frantically rehearsing fake arguments in your head and getting your heart rate all worked up, you just wash your hair. You let the warm water run down your back, you step out, you dry off, and you move on with your peaceful, quiet evening. Now, I really wish I could sit here right now and hand you some clever, viral life hack that would magically make you stop caring about other people's opinions overnight. I wish I could tell you that by next Tuesday, you will be completely bulletproof, and the guilt will never ever touch you again. But that is simply not how our messy, beautiful human brains actually work. You are still going to feel a little bit sad when someone walks away mad at you. You are still going to feel a quiet, lingering ache in your chest when you realize a friendship is fundamentally shifting because you finally stopped being entirely convenient for them. And that sadness is completely okay. It is normal. It just means you have a soft, beating heart. But the very next time someone tries to cast you as the cruel, unfeeling villain just because you chose to fiercely protect your own energy, I want you to take a deep, slow breath and just let them tell their completely fabricated version of the story to whoever will listen. Let them have the loudly painted narrative. You get to keep the peace. You get to wake up tomorrow morning with a clear head, a rested body, and a quiet soul. Because at the very end of the day, it is so much better to be the villain in someone else's distorted fairy tale than to continue being the absolute betrayer of yourself. If you are out there right now, sitting in your car in the driveway, or curled up in your bed, quietly struggling to learn how to let go of all these heavy, outdated rules, I need you to know that you are not doing it alone. Please hit subscribe to Paperweight Thoughts, and we will just keep untangling all this confusing, messy awkwardness of adulthood together, one quiet conversation at a time. I am so incredibly proud of you for having the courage to finally protect yourself today. Take a deep breath, go get some rest, and I will see you next time.